Welcome, ZASLOW Show 2.0. It is a Tuesday, the 26th of September. Good to have you aboard. We're part of the Believe Podcast Network, and everything ZASLOW Show 2.0 is always presented by our title sponsor, Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorneys, 800-747-FREE, 800-747-3733. You're involved in any kind of an accident, hit and run, slip and fall, motorcycle, car. I send you to Anidjar and Levine. First you call 911, then you call Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorneys. They're going to get you the money that you deserve, and they're going to treat you like family the same way they did me. Before ZASLOW Show 2.0 went on the air, ZASLOW Show 2.0 is not possible without our friends at Anidjar and Levine. Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorneys, 800-747-FREE, 800-747-3733. It is Tuesday, which means we are through NFL Week 3 now. I apologize. Well, I don't know. I guess I don't apologize. It was Yom Kippur yesterday. I mean, us Jews, that's our Super Bowl, all right? Holiest day of the year. So we couldn't work yesterday, couldn't do the show, and that meant I wasn't able to give you the instant reaction from the Dolphins thrashing of the Broncos Sunday afternoon. You know, it's funny. My wife said to me on Sunday, "Are you working tomorrow? Are you doing your show?" And I said, "I don't think I should." She goes, "You shouldn't." I said, "Yeah, it's a really bad look if I do the show." Now, we're not religious, you know. We observe what we observe, but I remember one time, and this is like a dozen years ago, maybe more, where I worked on Yom Kippur, and my Jewish friends, family, they were not happy. Like, I was embarrassed, you know. I didn't expect that kind of reaction. So ever since then, I don't work Yom Kippur, and so we didn't work yesterday. But it's funny because my wife said on Sunday before the Dolphin game started, "Are you working tomorrow?" I said, "No, I don't think I should." She goes, "You shouldn't." I go, "Okay, I'm not going to." I said, "Well, unless the Heat trade for Damian Lillard tonight, then I'll do something." And I also said, unless Tua throws for like 10 touchdowns. I totally said that. Now, Tua didn't throw for 10 touchdowns, but the team scored 10 touchdowns. But I still couldn't do the show because the only way I would have been able to do it was if I recorded it before sundown on Sunday night. And of course, there was time between the end of the Dolphin game, 4 p.m. or so, and 7:30, whatever sundown is. But the point is, then I'm putting that show out Sunday night. I still don't have a show for Monday. Like, it totally defeats the purpose. Although, I appreciate you guys out there who are thinking or listening and saying to yourself, "No, but we would have liked a show on Sunday night." Yeah, but the point is, like, am I doing a show on Monday? And so the point is, no, I'm not doing a show on Monday. So I apologize for those of you guys. I don't really apologize because, like I just said, Yom Kippur. But I did feel bad that I didn't do a show yesterday after such an historic day for the Miami Dolphins. Football, come on, man. Football is back. Everybody knows that. BetOnline is your number one information source for all your sports wagering info with all the up-to-the-minute stats, news, scores, and matchup breakdowns. Get the latest game odds, the spreads, the totals from all your NFL, all your college football action. It's at your fingertips with BetOnline's real-time updates on statistics, news, and odds. From the start of the season all the way through the college football playoff and the Super Bowl, BetOnline gives you access to the best football promotions and contests available anywhere online. Head to the BetOnline website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action at BetOnline. Remember, use promo code BELIEVE, B-L-E-A-V, BELIEVE, and you're going to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, so now we got Damian Lillard stuff to get to today. Yes, of course. Twitter Jam, what's it going to be on? I don't know. I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but it's Tuesday. We got Twitter Jam. We'll also update our ZASLOW Show 2.0 power rankings. You know I love a good power ranking. That's coming up. So we got some fun stuff here, but first, we got to start with your favorite football team, your record-setting football team, your Miami Dolphins. Now, we're going to talk to Travis Wingfield, Dolphins.com, host of the Drive Time podcast, and he's going to make us smarter. So Travis Wingfield will join us, and we're going to talk a lot of Dolphins with him coming up. But I didn't even have the words throughout the game to describe it. Tyreek Hill gets the touchdown on the third play of the game, and it's like, you're goddamn right. But still, no one thought that we were about to see, I didn't think the Dolphins were going to smoke them. I'm pretty sure I said last week that I think Dolphins were a 6.5-point favorite, and I think I said this game's going to be a little bit closer than people think. I still like the Dolphins to cover, but I was thinking more along the lines of, all right, they're up by 15 for most of the game, and maybe the Broncos get a late touchdown, because the Bronco offense was really good last week. Maybe they get a late touchdown, Dolphins win by 8. They cover, final score, doesn't look like a blowout. That's what I was expecting. I didn't think the Dolphins were going to annihilate them. It was indescribable what we were watching. And look, we're 2 days removed right now. I don't have any words that you haven't heard yet about that game. I'm not going to be able to describe my experience any different from you. You and I are the same. You saw the same shit I did, and your mind was blown the same way that mine was. I mean, just the whole game, I'm laughing, I'm cackling. It was so much fun. And the big story, the big story is what the Dolphins did overall. But then we got to a place late in the game where, all right, the Dolphins have 70. Are they going to go for the record? I mean, they've scored every time they had the ball, except for one time they punted and one time they turned it over on downs. Which, by the way, so Mike McDaniel scores 21-10. It's late second quarter. 4th and 1 from their own 34. And the Dolphins go for it. They got stuffed on 3rd and 1, and they got stuffed again on 4th and 1 with Ingold. Do you like the Dolphins going for it there? My overall thought is, this is Mike McDaniel. He is very aggressive. This is his coaching style. This is philosophy. More times than not, it's probably going to work out. But that also means that sometimes it's not going to work out. So I think you have to take all of the good with a little bit of the bad, which is them getting stuffed on that 4th and 1 play. Now, I didn't like it in the moment because, okay, Broncos are also getting the ball in the third quarter. It's 21-10. You just allowed them to have a chance to get in this game. Nobody knew they were going to score 70. And matter of fact, the Dolphins scored 2 more touchdowns before the end of that quarter. But if they score there, all of a sudden it's 21-13 or 21-17. It's a one-score game. Broncos get the ball at the start of the third quarter. That was annoying in the moment. But I think you have to take all of the good with a little bit of the bad. And that's Mike McDaniel's going to be going for it in that spot a lot. Now, I also think part of it had to do with, it's not absolute where you look at the score sheet, it tells you when to go for 2 or when to go for 4th down. You have to take into account opponent. You have to take into account how your offense has been playing. You have to take into account time and situation. And I think in that time and situation against the Broncos, he goes for it. In that time and situation, maybe this weekend against Buffalo, I don't think he necessarily does the same thing. I don't think it's an absolute situation where, okay, we're always going to go for it here. I think you have to take into account a human element to it. Time and situation, your offense, their defense, overall the opponent, what's their offense like. I think against Denver last weekend, you do it. I think this weekend against Buffalo, it's not the same thing. So I'm not upset with McDaniel going for it there, even knowing what we know. But back to the 70 points. Okay. I absolutely think it's the right decision, or was the right decision by the Dolphins, not going for it, the record at the end of the game. And here's why. You know the way the media is. You know the way social media is. You know the way fan bases are. I did like how Mike McDaniel said after the game something to the effect of karma. I believe in that sports karma bullshit. I do. I believe in it. And I think that's some bad juju right there if you kick that field goal for 73. I want to stay on the good side of the football karma. Clearly, Mike McDaniel does as well. So there's that right there. The other part of it is, we know how the media handles situations like this. If the Dolphins go for the record, and they get it, the narrative becomes the Dolphins are assholes, they're poor sports, they're poor winners, and they're disrespectful. When instead, all the talk should just be the Dolphins are amazing. Oh my God, they scored 70 points. Are they the best team in the NFL? They're going to kick the shit out of the Buffalo Bills. That's what the talk is now. If the Dolphins try and go for the record, then you get talked about how the Dolphins are disrespectful. You may not like it. Mike McDaniel absolutely did the right thing by kneeling on the ball on 4th down. I very strongly believe that. Now, here's also what I don't think you necessarily take into account. Can you imagine? Because we know Jason Sanders sucks. Okay, and look, give him credit. He made 10 extra points. He's really good inside 40. He made 10 extra points. Pretty good. So give him a little bit of credit. But what happens when the Dolphins go for the record and Jason Sanders, so it would have been like a 45-yard field goal, and Jason Sanders inevitably misses. Then the Dolphins are disrespectful for kicking the field goal, and it's embarrassing that they missed it. You know Sanders was going to miss that field goal. You know he was going to. And now I know there's a lot of people out there, what's the difference between 73 points and 70 points? What's the difference? Well, the difference is it's 4th down at the very end of the game. That's the difference. And if one of the running backs on 1st, 2nd, or 3rd down, they weren't passing the ball there anymore, and he sat all of his starters at the beginning of the 4th quarter. But if one of the Dolphins on 1st, 2nd, or 3rd down, if Chris Brooks would have ran it into the end zone, would have broken it free, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But on 4th down, at that point, you have a decision to make. Do you go for it? Do you kick a field goal? Do you kneel on the ball? And when it's decision time, you kneel on it. There is you play until the end. And that was the end. And at the very end, when it's 4th down, you don't kick. Now, would you have wanted them to hand it off on 4th down so it's another chance to score a touchdown and get the record that way? I'd have been totally fine with that. Totally, if they wanted to hand it off and run an actual play, a running play, not a passing play, you want to run a running play instead of kneeling it, okay, totally go with that. But bringing out the field goal unit, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. The conversation becomes how disrespectful the Dolphins are, as opposed to, wow, the Dolphins are so fucking good. And that's what I'm here for, is that conversation, not the former. And you know what? Sean Payton, who talked so much shit, unprovoked and completely unnecessary about Nathaniel Hackett, this Bronco team is worse than they were last year with Hackett. They're 0-3. They're paying Payton like $20 million. And the other team just took mercy out on you. Down by 50. And you had the balls to talk about another coach that way? Sean Payton's a bum. I hope this season continues to go downhill for him. I hope he continues to be embarrassed. It was so unnecessary, those shots. Now, it's not like Nathaniel Hackett's lighted up there as the offense coordinator in New York, but what are you going to do with Zach Wilson? I mean, he's been dealt a really bad hand. Sean Payton, you talk the way that you did about another coach, and your team is 0-3. Your quarterback still isn't very good, and you just lost by 50? Oh, you're a bum. You're a bum. I'm glad this happened to Sean Payton. And by the way, talking about coaches, Brian Flores didn't think Tua could play. Didn't think he could play. And he could sue the NFL. He could sue other teams. He could talk about racism. The reason Brian Flores will never be a head coach again is because he thought Tua couldn't play. If Tua stays healthy, he wins MVP this year. He's going to be the MVP of the league. Has a coach ever thought a quarterback can't play and that quarterback then won MVP? I'm not talking about you thought he couldn't play and he ended up being a good player. I'm talking about you thought he couldn't play and he won MVP, because that's what we're headed toward. Brian Flores didn't think Tua can play. That's why he'll never be a head coach again. It's inexcusable. And if you want to, let's look at the big picture here. Let's look at the macro picture here. The Dolphins. I can't believe, I got to ask Travis Wingfield, Dolphins.com, when he gets him in a few minutes here to explain it to me. This offensive line is awesome. And you got Teron Armstead back in the lineup, great. But between this offensive line, the speed that they have on offense at wide receiver and at running back, the accuracy of the quarterback, the elite play calling, this offense is unstoppable. If you have a great offensive line and the fastest players on the field and a quarterback who makes the best decisions and is accurate, your offense is unstoppable. And that's what we're looking at right now with this team. They are unstoppable. And so if we're talking about bigger picture, here's the big picture, right? I want to look at this in a micro sense. Yeah, the team is awesome. They're so much fun. But I want to look at it from a macro perspective. The Dolphins have an elite coach. That's for sure now. And I talked about this last year because there were some people who didn't think McDaniel was great. Maybe there were some decisions toward the end of the year you didn't love. Okay. I never understand why a coach needs to be a finished product in his first year. A quarterback's not a finished product his first year. Look at Tua his first year. Look at Tua year number 4. Why does McDaniel have to be a finished product in year number 1? The Dolphins clearly have an elite coach. They have a good GM. Look, I got to put my hands up. I was wrong about Chris Greer. They have an elite coach. They have a good general manager. They have an elite quarterback. From a macro perspective, they're going to be really good for a really, really long time. Between the coach and the quarterback and good front office decisions, the Dolphins are going to be really good for a really long time. And yes, there's very real optimism that this team can compete for a Super Bowl this year. But the reality is there should be optimism that they're going to compete for Super Bowls for years and years and years. So yeah, it would suck if they win 11, 12 games this year. They're the number 1 seed in the AFC. They're the only undefeated team in the AFC right now. And they don't make it to the Super Bowl. But we're going to be able to rest assured that as long as they have this coach and this quarterback, they're going to be a Super Bowl contender every year. And so from a macro perspective, they've been a nothing team for decades. And now we finally get this. And it's over the top too. 70 points, it is over the top. Sunday was crazy. But big picture, small picture, we want to win the Super Bowl this year. Big picture, they're set up to be really good for a really long time. Oh, it's so great. So that's my biggest takeaway. Yes, this team is really fun right now, and holy shit, Sunday against Buffalo is such a monster game. And we'll get more to Dolphins versus Bills stuff tomorrow. But big picture wise, yeah, that's the part that's really exciting to me. You know what else is exciting? When you're thinking about getting a new car. If you know where to go, that's so exciting. North Fort Lauderdale Subaru. If you're in the market for a new ride, that's where I send you. The only car dealership that I personally endorse, North Fort Lauderdale Subaru. You're talking about walking through their showroom doors. You're immediately greeted by a friendly member of their sales team. They're going to say, what are you looking for? They're going to navigate you in the right direction. They have the widest inventory of newest Subaru models on the market. That includes the Outback, the Crosstrek, the Forester. You could be looking for a spacious Subaru SUV for the entire family. Maybe just a reliable Subaru sedan for yourself is what you're looking for. At North Fort Lauderdale Subaru, they have the perfect model for you. And at North Fort Lauderdale Subaru, we're talking South Florida's newest and technologically advanced Subaru dealer. Shop over 1,000 vehicles right now from the comfort of your own home. All you got to do is go to nflsubaru.com. Very easy to remember. nflsubaru.com. North Fort Lauderdale Subaru, conveniently located on North Andrews Avenue, just north of Cypress Creek Road, the building you know, and the place to go, North Fort Lauderdale Subaru. So, last night you had Monday Night Football. Bengals beat the Rams. That was a shit game. Bengals beat the Rams 19-16. Eagles beat the Bucks 25-11. Also a shit game. I love the doubleheader Monday Night Football. I don't know when we're getting it next. It's been 2 weeks in a row. But week 3 officially in the books. So, what does that mean? That means, ZASLOW Show 2.0 week 4 power rankings. That's right. Here we go. Top 5. That's what we do every single week. And we count it backwards from 5 to 1. We do that for dramatic purposes. Number 5, making their debut in the ZASLOW Show 2.0 power rankings, the Kansas City Chiefs. They come off a 31-7 win against Chicago. They beat the shit out of them. Taylor Swift, you got the whole thing going on. Look, can we be honest for a second? The Taylor Swift coverage, it's too much. It was too much. I understand she's a massive star. Maybe you get some extra eyeballs by talking about her. But it was way too much. 99% of your fan base does not care about Taylor Swift. You can't devote the coverage you did for just 1%. You can't do it. It was so stupid. And by the way, look, Taylor Swift, I got nothing against Taylor Swift. The touchdown Travis Kelce scored, I think it put them ahead 31-7 or whatever blowout score it was. You would have thought they just took the lead in the Super Bowl. Her reaction was way too over the top. It's like she had no idea what the score was. She didn't know what was happening in the game. She just knew that Travis Kelce did something good, and the reaction was so over the top. It was a little too much with the Taylor Swift stuff. And I like Taylor Swift. It was a little too much. Kansas City, number 5. Number 4, ZASLOW Show 2.0 Week 4 Power Rankings. They've dropped down a spot. No, I'm sorry. They make their debut also in the top 5. The Buffalo Bills. They had a big win at Washington. Washington was undefeated. I thought that was a good win. They kicked the crap out of them, right? Maybe that score actually was 31-7. I forget what the Kansas City score was. But Buffalo making their debut in the ZASLOW Show 2.0 Power Rankings. They come in at number 4. Number 3, the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles jump up a spot this week after last night's win at Tampa Bay. A dominant performance on both sides of the ball. A road win, Monday Night Football. You got to give it up for the NFC champions. Philadelphia, number 3. Now is the moment you've all been waiting for, right? Now is when it gets interesting. Number 2, ZASLOW Show 2.0 Power Rankings. Staying in the number 2 spot, the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins remain at number 2, which means San Francisco remains at number 1 with their Thursday Night Football 30-12 win against the New York Giants. Here's why. Hear me out, Dolphin fans. I know you're very upset now that I didn't have the Dolphins number 1 in ZASLOW Show 2.0 Power Rankings. Hear me out. So, number 1, there's a couple reasons. San Francisco, they haven't done anything. They've been number 1, and they haven't done anything to lose the spots. That plays a role in my power rankings as well. Did they do anything to get knocked off themselves? No. 30-12 win against the Giants. I mean, they crushed them. They've scored 30 in all 3 games. So there's that perspective. And the second perspective, which is more important for me, I don't want to jinx the Dolphins this weekend. This is a massive, massive early season game in Buffalo. Now, I will tell you, if the Dolphins go into Buffalo this weekend, I don't care what San Francisco does. If the Dolphins go into Buffalo this weekend and they beat the Bills, the Dolphins are getting that top spot. So part of me is, I don't want to jinx it by putting the Dolphins in that top spot and then they go to Buffalo, a monster game, and lose. I want the Dolphins to go into Buffalo this weekend, win that game, and take that top spot from San Francisco. So, number 5, Kansas City. Number 4, Buffalo. Number 3, Philadelphia. Number 2, Miami. And number 1, still in the ZASLOW Show 2.0 power rankings, the San Francisco 49ers.